Hey there, this is Marisa with Marisa Moment's podcast, Healing While I Heal, where I share real life stories and their divine healing translations. So let's just get straight into it. All right, so today I actually have a surprise. Not only is the podcast going to be recorded or is recorded, depending on where you're listening, right? But I actually have a guest today, which is really exciting. Her name is Molly Mandelberg. Now, excuse me while I actually read because she's just that awesome. It's just too much for me to remember. Anyway, so Molly is the founder of Wild Hearts Rise Up and creator of Magnetic Influencer Collective, and also the writer and illustrator of the Wild Hearts Rise Up Oracle deck. She's both the host of Tactical Magic and Reveal the Game of Life podcasts, and she's a best-selling author. After spending years mastering content creation and online marketing, Molly finds her bliss in bridging the worlds of heart-centered healing and transformation with the practical business strategies of leveraging a message into a global movement. She is a certified NLP coach, an Access Consciousness bars facilitator, a transformational leadership coach, and a full-time nomad. Molly works with coaches, healers, and conscious leaders to broadcast their messages with ease so they can reach more people and make more money with less time spent. She travels the world full-time and runs her six-figure business out of her self-converted Sprinter van tiny home. Molly loves helping her clients to systemize their work and master the magnetics of marketing so they can experience more freedom and make an even bigger difference. Now, with that said, let's actually talk to Molly and see how she's done it, where she's going, and what she wants to share with us. So without further ado, let's get straight into it. All right. So, hey, Molly, how's it going?
Hi, I'm good. How are you?
I'm awesome. So full disclosure for the audience, this is our take 2 on this interview because, I mean, let's just be clear. Our energy is so crazy. We just shut down the audio previously and it just couldn't keep up with us. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, I've already mentioned to the audience about how awesome you are and how many things you have going on and how you basically are just helping the world elevate one healer at a time. So, but what I'm curious about, because of course, this podcast is focused on actual healing or real life stories and their healing translations. So what I'd like you to mention or discuss is something that has happened along your journey that maybe could have shut you down, shut the door on your progress, but you managed to take it, transmute it, turn it around, and use it as rocket fuel to your success. So, story time.
Yeah. I mean, there's been many, many moments of, I would say, typical word for it would be failure or like defeat or trying something and it doesn't work the first time. I've got lots of examples of that. One of the ones I talk about kind of often is because I teach people how to create courses and programs and develop their content so they can switch from just one-on-one services to one-to-many. And I launched a number of workshops and courses and actual like group programs before any of them really worked, before the launch worked, before people bought them, before I got to actually facilitate a group in a real way. And that was really defeating. To launch something and get excited about it and create this beautiful like masterpiece in your own mind and have nobody buy it, and to go market it and tell everyone about it and just crickets is really, it's tragic. It's sad.
Sure.
It's really painful sometimes. And I did that like multiple times in a row without results. And I was ready to quit. I was ready to give up. I thought that was just a sign that I shouldn't be doing this, or that I was doing it wrong, or that I wasn't smart enough to do it. And in that process, I actually was going to quit. I was ready to like throw in the towel and get a job because I needed to make some money and I wasn't. And I had this beautiful mastermind. I actually still chat with them sometime, but this cohort of business besties, you could call them, of accountability buddies. And we were meeting every week for years and years. I'd say we talk every other month or so now still. But I told them like, yo, I'm thinking about quitting. I don't think I could do this. I need to get a job. I got to pay some bills. Like, this isn't working out. And they were like, we get it. Like, we see it. We see like how hard you've tried and what's been going on, and like totally understand you feel that way. And just wait a week. They told me to wait a week. And what they told me also was that they could see what I was creating and who I was becoming in that creation and where I was headed. And they could see that I was going where I wanted to get to. And they could see it in a way that I couldn't see it for myself, that I had lost track of that vision, of that dream. And they said, you could do whatever you want. You can go get a job. That's fine. But like, just wait a week. You're in the height of the emotion right now, of the feeling. Like, don't completely throw in the towel until you've like gone through the emotional part of it and gotten out on the other side. And a lot of things were coalescing at that time. I was, applying to be basically doing what I do for somebody else's business as a coach for a bigger enterprise, $1 million organization, multi-million probably. And that was in the work. So maybe that was going to be the job where it was like, I kind of still do what I do, but in a different way for somebody else. And then, I also won this opportunity to speak to a room full of people. I also found this kind of magic, this healing modality called Access Consciousness right around that same time. And all that stuff was kind of coalescing. And in the span of that week, I had the opportunity to give a talk, change my niche entirely. And I got 3 clients, and it was like 3 $97 single sessions. And all 3 of those single sessions ended up turning into packages. And those packages were suddenly like this influx of cash, of flow, of money, of abundance that had been so fucking dry for me for so many months that it felt like a huge sign of like, oh my God, I can do this. I turned down that big offer for that job. It was a job. It was a coaching business that I was going to be working for, but it was a job. I turned down that job because I was ready to double down on my business, because I was getting evidence that said, you know what, you can do this. You are on the way to becoming who you want to become, and don't quit yet. And within like 6 months after that, I had my first $10,000 month. Since then, I've had many 20, some $30,000 months in my business. And that turning point, that not like, I don't know if you call it a knockdown, drag out. It wasn't a fight with anyone but myself, but I was ready to give up. And it was a combination of my willingness to honor the path that was pivoting before me, because I felt something had to fucking change. So I honored that and allowed it to shift, allowed my niche to switch again to a new direction. I also immersed myself in community with people who could see what I was going for. And it's not something we necessarily have in our lives. Like your average normal best friend from all your years of being together, your spouse or partner, your, kids, your other friends, like they don't never necessarily understand this kind of dream and how to create it. And so to them, it seems kind of risky and crazy. And so to say, hey, I think I'm going to quit, some of them are going to say, that's probably smart. When what you really need to hear is, you have what it takes. And so I was lucky to have those people in my life to tell me like, hey, we see you, you can do this. And I was willing to believe them and what they saw I was becoming over the self-judgment and doubt that I had been seeing about myself. So like that combination allowed this huge shift in my business, in my being, in my capacity to receive. And yeah, I'm super, super grateful for all of those components of it that came together. But that moment of like utter giving up, almost to the point of actually giving up, that I was able to be held in that moment, that I reached out for support, that the support was there that I needed, and that the universe coalesced all those components to allow me to and now become who I've become. So a greater version of that story too is the girl I used to be before this business got started was a shell of the person that I am now. That I have become so much more of myself because of how I've allowed myself to learn and grow and evolve, thanks to having to, because of my business. Like they don't talk about this enough, but when you're out there sharing your message as a healer, as a practitioner, as someone who's changing lives and helping people and supporting them, either one-on-one or in groups or whatever, that to do that in the first place, you got to own a lot of stuff. You got to own that you can help people. And for most people, that's like a bold claim. So it takes a lot of courage and a lot of inner work to move past the blocks that say I can't or I shouldn't. And so it's been, I mean, the entirety of my business has been this immense like expansion of who I am and how I see myself and how I'm showing up in the world and broadcasting that. But that was one story.
For sure.
I was ready to quit, and it turns out quitting wasn't the best option.
Yeah. And I love that. I mean, first, thank you for sharing, but there's so many different facets to that. And it's fascinating, you know, in terms of we all get to that certain place and space where we're like, F this, I'm done. Like my belly is growling and there is no food. Eggs cost $10,000. So what am I going to do right now? You know? So, and to have that, not just have the support system, but to be willing to put yourself out there and go to them and be like, yo, you know, I'm in this place right now and I don't know what to do. This is where I'm at, and be willing and open to like receive what they have to say, because it is difficult for us to see ourselves as other people see us. You know, all we know is the experience that we have. And when it comes to like this healing journey, a lot of times we've been programmed to focus on the defeat as opposed to the progress. And it's like, we do have to put ourselves out there. We do have to almost like take our old selves off like an outfit at the end of the day and be like, okay, you know what? Thanks. You were great. Now let's clean it up. And if I want to put it back on, it's going to be a new version. It's going to be shiny and new because I've already cleaned it out, you know? So that's so dope and so relatable too, because I mean, truth be told, I get to plenty of times and moments where I'm like, what the am I doing? You know, you get to that space where you're just like, okay, seriously, like me, like, wait, what? And then you do get those moments of validation that come through, whether it's the $97 client or the $10,000 month. I mean, the Lord, do you hear me?
Yeah.
At the same time, you know, whether it comes in the form of a friend saying, hey, I see you, I recognize what you're doing, and I'm proud of you, or just whatever that is. So I just think that is so dope.
Yeah. And it also comes through the clients of like, actually, when you're having that moment of doubt, I keep a little file on my computer and I have one on my phone where anytime somebody thanks me for something or appreciates their session or, you know, recommends me to somebody else on social media or something like that, I take a snapshot of the message and I keep it in a folder called Feel Good File. And when I'm having those moments of doubt, I go back to that place and say, okay, that person's pretty smart and they think I'm valuable or worthy or, you know, helpful. And I'm willing to see that as a truth about me, even though these voices in my head are saying, no, you can't, and you're bad, and you should quit. And, you know, those moments of doubt get less, or they get less able to derail you over time, but they still show up. There's still moments and things and happenings that are going to bring some of that to the surface. It's just your capacity to remind yourself of the truth gets greater and greater as you go along.
Yeah, for sure. It's definitely like a muscle. You have to work at it. And the more weight you lift, the more you can lift. It doesn't mean that it's going to be easy. You're not going to go into a gym and like, I don't know, maybe somebody will, not me. Yeah. Pick up the weight and just fling it into the ceiling because it's like a feather. But you're more capable of doing it. You're more mindful. And I love that idea of, what did you call it? The file?
Feel Good File.
The Feel Good File. Yes, I need that. Just a reminder of being the cat's meow. Now, I thought of that because your cat was in the background. I'm like, yo, that's awesome. Yeah. Just because we do need those reminders, and to make it tangible, it's even more so important to say, okay, I'm not just repeating the stuff in my head. I'm not just kind of pulling it out of thin air. This is a tangible reminder that someone out there does think I'm the cat's meow. They see me for who I am as opposed to how I've been programmed. And I can use that as confirmation, validation, affirmation, all the Asians, right?
Yeah. And to bring that like one example full circle too, after doing those courses and failing at launching them, I now have 9 different programs and courses that I launch and sell that people buy and love. And I help my clients create those same systems and offerings for themselves and their businesses. And I have like a wild capacity with it now. So what was something that I was like beating my head against the wall trying to figure out is now like part of my expertise that I get to share with the world. And if I hadn't been willing to fail at it and figure it out, I may not have gained that capacity and had that as my entire kind of business model now.
Yeah. What do they say? We have to fail our way to success sometimes. But as you're tripping over and stumbling and seeing these moments where it's like perceived failures, it can definitely be difficult in those times. But like you said, it takes us to a higher place of self-understanding of success or potential for success and all of those things if we're willing to just stick it out and be willing to almost even feel embarrassed sometimes, because I think sometimes that comes down to like ego. Like I know personally, I've launched certain things and like you said, you'll be like, okay, here we go, viral, boop. And then it's like 2 people watch it and you're just like, hold on a second. Like,
yeah,
wait, I don't think they got the memo, and it's that ego hit where it's like, oof, okay, back to the drawing board, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, totally. But your willingness to do that makes you better at whatever that is every single time. And to just bring it to the like ego vanity metrics of the social media world that we live in now, or even sending an email to your list and whether it gets response or not. What I tell my clients, because I come at marketing from a really energetics and magic standpoint, is you broadcasting your message, whether it's a direct response, like that one video you finally created and put out there went viral or not, the act of creating it, the act of releasing it into the world creates a magnetic pull. So like, even if it's not directly through that post or that video or that email or that podcast episode or whatever you were hoping it would come through, it still creates the magnetism of your business that somebody might get referred to you from some sideline, or they might, just happen upon you and finally find their yes. I never have seen that. But the creation and the broadcast is still the thing that's creating that magnetic pulse around your business. It's increasing the magnetic field of energy that's drawing people to you. So it's still worth doing, even if the likes or shares or follows or comments or whatever don't feel like a win, that it's still part of the pull.
Definitely, 100%. So, I mean, definitely. So bottom line to the bottom line for anyone and everyone watching this, all million of you, keep going. That's the real gist of it. We feel like you may be failing, you feel like some sort of way, but that's just your programming telling you lies. It's telling you lies. Yeah. So just keep going and understand and know that by putting the things out there and you are manifesting your reality, the things that you want, the things that you desire, you have to almost embody them essentially in order to receive them back to you. So you just got to keep going. Now, so we know that in terms of keeping continuously going, but how can you help people? Because I know you've mentioned your different courses and all the different offerings that you have, which are amazing. So tell us more about what you're offering.
Yeah, absolutely. I was just going to make that point too. It's keep going and also be willing to get support, whether that's finding those accountability buddies who are going to like champion you and have your back energetically, or actually be willing to invest in learning how to do a thing you don't know how to do well yourself, or getting someone's input or insight who has been doing it longer than you, that can like shorten that learning curve that for me took a long time and a lot of failures, that I now get to shorten that learning curve for other people. So be willing to invest in yourself. I've spent tens of thousands of dollars learning all kinds of different strategies and techniques, from sales to marketing to, energy practices, so that I could do my business better and stay on that energetic, like high timeline, I guess you could say, as much as possible. So the way that I help people, to answer your question, I work with mostly healers, coaches, leaders, spiritual mentors, guides, who are really great at what they do, and they serve their clients one-on-one and like know that they're here for a reason. but they generally are not great at talking about what they do. They generally hate marketing, and they often have an aversion to using technology to automate and systemize all that stuff so it's easier. So I help them craft their deep work into inspiring content and hot copy. Sometimes that looks like courses and programs. Sometimes that looks like workshops or having a thing that leads to your email list, like a free gift. And also to tackle the technology. So learn how to use it, systemize it for yourself so you know how to use it in the future, or even hire somebody else to use it. And also to do the inner work, the energetic alignment piece, so that what you create can bring in what you say you desire without any of that inner subconscious crap limiting you or sticking up the gears in the process that you want to create. So I do all of that. I have lots of courses and programs. I also work with people one-on-one, and I'm doing monthly-ish, every other month right now, a group hypnosis session that's really targeting the subconscious beliefs. The next one that's coming up is about money. I haven't decided what the one after that is going to be about. And then I have a free 5-day challenge coming up in March. I'm not sure when this is going to air, but we're going to be talking about your next brilliant business idea if anybody wants to come and play along with that.
I love that. I love the hypnosis. Of course, I've already told you. I tell you each time you mention it, I'm like, that's so cool.
Yeah.
Let me check my calendar. I want to do it too, All of these programs are definitely well worth it, well worth looking into. Molly, you are amazing. And if you haven't heard it today, you should have heard it about 15 times by now. But if not, let me be the first to say how awesome you are and how appreciative we are of you putting yourself out there and being able to offer your expertise and just being able to help others. Because like you said, it's definitely needed. When it comes to healers, it's easy to kind of get into that land of the woo, right? It's easy to connect with the universe and all of that. But what's not necessarily easy is to connect with that financial aspect, to connect with that business aspect, to have it all kind of merge and marry together. And I love that you do that, because even personally, I'm very honest, right? It's difficult for me as well, because we do kind of are raised on the notion of money bad, energy good, and to make the worlds kind of combine in the middle it feels kind of icky and just gross sometimes, right? So in order to be able to alleviate that false programming, because again, it's a lie. Sometimes we do need to be able to reach out to others and experts. And since you've already done the work, then that kind of takes out the middleman and helps everyone else. So if anyone finds themselves in that position, which is a lot of us, then definitely contact Molly. And is there a specific way in which you'd like the viewers to contact you?
Yeah, there's a lot of great free resources on my website, Wild Hearts with an S, riseup.com. I have 2 podcasts. I have two books. One is nonfiction and very much aligned with these topics of lots of stories from my life and the golden thread of learning I found through them. But the best way to follow me on a regular basis is on Instagram, wild_one, that's ONE_rising, Wild One Rising. And if you do follow me on Instagram, you can look at the link in my bio and get 7 days of free coaching if you're interested in trying out what support from me would look like.
That's awesome. And of course, I'll be putting in all that information in the description as well to make it easier on the viewers to just kind of click and go. Nice little portals there. But would you like to share any last final thoughts before we kind of hang it up with the viewers?
Yeah, I end all my podcast episodes with this little catchphrase that's kind of synopsizes my deep desires for everyone on this planet. But yeah, the words of wisdom I like to share: ask big questions and take bold action, because you are here for a reason.
I love that. That's awesome. Well, thank you again so very much. This has been very eye-opening and very relatable as well. And that's the whole point, right? Healing while we heal. So until next time, happy healing, everybody.
Thanks. Bye.